Hey everybody, Big Red Live. I'm your host Josh. Join with me are coaches Mac and Harper. We also have Coach Darrell Clark of the McDowell High School Titans. Coach, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, doing good. How about you guys?
We're doing good, doing good. How about you, Coach Mac and Harper?
Wonderful.
Doing great.
Well, Coach Clark, your team's coming off a big win on Friday night against the South Caldwell Spartans in a shootout to improve to 5-1 on the season. Having given some time to kind of reflect on things, what are your thoughts on the game?
We started off fast. We started off real fast. We got the opening possession and went down and scored in about 5 or 6 plays. And they got the ball back and I think we made them turn it over. Once they turned it over on the first play and we went right back down and scored. So we kind of went up real fast on them, and we just kind of kept that going. My quarterback Danny Brown, and I got receivers all over the field. That he can get it to, and we're able to make them have it to choose. They don't know, they can't choose the right side. They can't just stop one. They got to try to stop 5 or 6 of them that I have. So it's kind of fun. And then when you're able to run the ball as well as we are, also, it's you got to pick your poison. Which one you want? You want to stop the pass or you want to stop the run? And it's kind of fun, being a head coach and also calling the offense. It's kind of fun being able to kind of do what you want to do right now.
Yeah, Coach, I'll tell you one thing. The past 2 weeks, your quarterback, Danny Brown, has broke the school record for passing yards. And then this past week proceeded to break his own record in this week's game. So, what are your thoughts on your quarterback being able to step up, lead the offense, and just come up big time in these games, especially in a game like Friday night where it just gets into a shootout?
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is, I mean, when I first got here, and I told him and his dad what type of offense I wanted to bring into the bring here, and both of them was excited. He always came to my office, after we lift weights and we talked about what I want to do, and I talked to my coaches today while we was doing our coaches meeting, and I told them I was like, I felt that we'll be okay, but I didn't know we was gonna be this good this early, pretty much in the offense. And like I say, I lived a lot of years coaching at Irwin High School with Robin Allen Wig, Garrett Brown, Austin Brown, Damon Ferguson, and Danny is one of those guys that is a competitor. He want to be right all the time, and he does a great job controlling the offense.
Well, Coach, one thing I wanted to talk to you about, especially, something we talked about when you first got here, is talking about changing the culture. And halfway through your first season at the helm of McDowell, your team's 5-1. Have you noticed any significant changes in the culture over at McDowell High School ever since you started?
The big thing about the culture changes is letting the kids know that they can believe in themselves. That's the big thing I was always trying to talk to them about. It's being positive, always believing in yourself, always thinking about we can get on the field and we can beat anybody when we get on the field. And they have rose to the occasion on that. They have just asked they have done what I asked them to do. And that's the only thing that I can ask for.
Coach, I'm curious, if you don't mind me interrupting here, big dog. Um, you said that it sounded like your kids didn't believe in themselves when you first got there.
Well,
Uh, did you
that's what
find that they were struggling with that?
well, but talking to some of the kids, talking to some of the parents, talking to the community members, they just needed somebody that, and not taking anything from the other coaches that was there. They just needed a fresh identity. They needed something that they can believe in. I told them at the very beginning, I'm gonna treat you guys like young men. I'm gonna push you guys like you never been pushed before. We hold them at a high standard. And the thing about that is, I'm still working on trying to get the penalties cleaned up, trying to get the excite because they're excited. Once they make plays, they're excited. They all over the field, and you want that, but you got to also do it in a way that you don't get flags and stuff like that. But I got a hungry team right now. I mean, they are feeling the success, and they're pushing themselves to continue to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Coach, one thing I wanted to ask you is this. In this Northwestern 3A, 4A conference, you've got some talented teams like Watauga, Freedom, and your team right now is still trying to build an identity.
Yes.
Moving forward later into the season, what is it that you're wanting to try to make as the official identity of McDowell Titan football?
Well, my thing is I want to be balanced, and we was talking about it in our meeting today, and a quarterback throwing for 300 some yards and still being able to run for over 200 yards in a single game. You can't ask for anything better than that. I got two great running backs in the backfield, and then a third one that plays receiver for me also that can come in the backfield and do what they do. I got a great five up front. I got four seniors and one junior, so these guys have played a lot of football. It's just putting them in the right situation. I mean, you got to pick your poison. Do you want to stack the box and play my guys man to man on the board, and then saying, you're trying to get to the quarterback, where the quarterback is, he's very savvy, he's very calm and collective, he's very athletic. So when you look at it like that, pick your poison, tell me what you want, and I'm that guy I put on my call sheet every Friday. Take what they give you. If they give me 5 yards, I'm taking 5 yards. If they give me down the field, I'm gonna take down the field. So that's the identity that I'm gonna have, that I'm gonna always have, is take what they give you, and just try to make the right decision. Put your kids in the right situation.
Absolutely. You know, a team like yours obviously has to have quite a bit of leaders on them, both offense and defensively. Would you like to take a time to talk about, some of your leaders on both offense and defense?
Well, like I said, Danny Brown, offense, he's big time leader. Him and Hunter Pittman and Jordan Barnett in the backfield. I can go down the board with I got a sophomore receiver, number 12, Jaron Moore, a kid that I had to talk to get him to come out to be a part of this. And then Jaden Whiteside, another receiver, a junior receiver. So I got these two guys coming back. I got leaders. And then my offensive line, if you look at that, you have Eddie and Brandon, two brothers right there, Cole Mancuso, and I just have seniors that have been here that are buying into what I want. And like I said, I'm not that type of coach that's gonna cuss them out and make them feel less than anybody. I always try to be uplifting with them, and they have rose to the occasion on that. I don't got to beat them down, because if I look at them a certain way, they know what I want. And that's all you can ask for as a coach, is have those guys that been through the struggling time, and that is getting some success as they senior year, and they just it's just in it. They just love it, and it's fun practicing with them, because on the defense side of the ball, it's like I don't have a lot of kids going both ways, probably like two or three, and then that's starter wise, and then we plug people in on defense as we need, and then with the skill guys, I got my DBs, that's my receivers that kind of go both ways, but I can spell them on offense. That's what I try to preach to them. Be patient, trust the process, and they're doing that.
Yeah. What about your coaching staff? You want to take a moment to, give your coaching staff a shout out?
Yeah, I brought one guy with me from Asheville High, a young guy, Landon Brown. He took over the defense and also the weight room. When you don't have to worry about a defense and don't have to worry about, as a head coach, and have to worry about the weight room, you got a lot of things that you can do, uh, to make your side of the ball good. And then, like I say, we still got Andrew Denton, that he was here. He was here. Shane Ramsey, Aikman, Z. So we got guys that are here, that was on the defense side of the ball, that's with him, that they are loving what he got. They're loving his young energy. And then, like I say, my offensive line coach Trey Spearman and Levi. I know I know Levi last name. I just can't think of it. But Coach Levi, and then I got two receivers. I bring a guy with me also from Owen High School, uh, Kurt Presley. He been around football for years, and he was with Kenny Ford in that time. And these guys just are working well with the kids. The kids are loving them and things like that. So and then you got a guy that played here also named JC. JC is a younger guy that I let him call my offense, and he's doing a great job with that on the JV side. and he is like with my running backs and receivers helping me out with that. So it's a fun group. They are loving what we're trying to do. They're loving the message that I'm trying to send to the kids, and it's just something that makes me feel good. And the community, these guys also are community guys. So
Yeah. Well, Coach, I wanted to ask you this question because obviously, when you step into this into a new program, there's always a level of reset and all that other stuff. So far this year, throughout the season, has there been a moment this season that led you to believe that the Titans would be 5-1 at this point in the season?
you know, when you go back and think about it, I told we and it's funny you said that. We talked about this in the coaching meeting today. I told the guys when I first took the job, I did not know that we would be as productive or as just as good so fast. And until we went against Tuscola in the first 7-on-7, and then we went down to our FCA camp at Wingate, and the guys they fought. They fought. They never backed down, no matter what happened, no matter how hard it got. And then I knew right then I was gonna have a pretty good year. But like I told them, I didn't know my offensive line was gonna be as good, and I was gonna have a good running game as I do. I can say when we was down by 11 in the first game, and we came back and won in that third quarter, I felt that we had a chance to be okay.
Yeah. One thing I do want to talk about is this, Coach. I've been able to have the opportunity to come see you at a game this year over at Avery County High School. And one thing I have to say is I was genuinely impressed with how full the away side stands were for McDowell High School that night. So my question to you is, how does the fan support and the community support been for the program, and what does it mean not only to you but the players in the program itself?
Well, when you look at the community, when I first came in, a lot of people they're just excited. I went to the Rotary Club and talked to those business owners and things like that, and talked to them about what I wanted for the program, what I wanted for the community, and they have came out. They have came out. They have supported us from the get go, and McDowell community, no matter what, no matter if they were winning or losing, what they always came and supported the team. When I was at Asheville and also at Irwin, no matter the years that they had, they always traveled. And now, like I said, I come outside. I live by a couple of neighbors that's community guys that went here. They just everything I hear is positive from anybody outside of the school system. It's great. And then when you got an AD that has been here, born and bred. You got a superintendent that is great to talk to, great person, athletic guy, and a social superintendent that is just all about McDowell athletics. It makes it easy, And they told me when I first got the job, Coach Clark, I don't care if you win 2 games, I don't care if you win 3 games. We want to see the difference on the sideline. That the kids are not acting a certain way. They're taking it, play by play, and that's the only thing that I came in to try to do is just make everything the kids excited about what we're doing here.
Absolutely, Coach. Coaches, y'all got any questions for Coach Clark?
I'm just impressed with what you are saying about your program right now. It sounds like you are obviously holding kids accountable for their actions and
Yes,
at the
sir.
same time teaching them how to win the right way.
Yes,
And
sir.
so many high school coaches have gotten have gone the different route where winning is everything. And that McDowell High School program has always been a proud program.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
so it sounds like you know what you're doing, and and obviously you're putting it together. So
Thank you,
congratulations.
thank you, sir. And that's the thing, like you said, even after the game Friday night, I don't think my kids acted the best. And I put them on the goal line and I made them run because one thing about it, I don't care how close the game in or how bad would be the team, we're gonna win with class. And that's what I told them, act like you've been here, act like you've been here, act like you won some games, and because we have been on that side of the side of the field, of a loss, and we cannot act outside of our character no matter if you win or lose. Because, like I say, I tell them all the time, you may have a scout in the stands and you may make a great play and you might want to do something crazy and get a flag. That scout gonna look at you and take you off of their sheet. So that's what I'm trying to teach my kids. I played at Mars Hill, played with Coach Tim Clifton, and I know what he instilled in me as a player. And then also, like I said, I coach up under Mike Sexton, Rodney Pruitt, and Court Rafford. So it's like I've been on the programs that people have, instilled things in me that I took, and some things that I didn't take. But
You got
I feel
people that would, if they found out you weren't doing that, you might have to answer to them.
yes, sir.
And
Yes,
again,
sir.
in.
And that's all we ask for. That's all. I want to make these guys that believe in me. I want to make them proud, and then the community that gave me a chance, I want to make them proud.
Amen.
Well, Coach, here's something I want to ask you. You got a big game this coming up week against Alexander Central. And obviously, over the past couple of weeks, there's been a lot of buzz going around this McDowell Titans football team. So, not only from this week, but moving forward into conference play, how do you keep your kids focused on the task at hand to play these games every Friday night, not
I'm,
listen to the outside noise?
yes, I'm honest with my kids. I tell my kids, and this is me, and I may be too honest sometimes, but I tell the kids the truth. With Alexander Central coming in this week, they are a better. They record don't tell you how good they are. They don't play this against some tough competition. They're athletic as all get out, and they're big. And I tell my kids like I and I go back to South Caldwell. I felt that I would be able to throw the ball on them, and I told my team that I feel that we can do that, and I was always honest with them. I mean, so I don't take anything from any team that we play. Same thing against Inca, same thing against North Buncombe. I told my kids what I felt that we can do. This team, it's going to be a task because they're big, they're physical, and they do got athletes. They have more athletes than people think, and we're going to have to play a game. We're going to have to, like I say, I'm gonna take what they give me, and hopefully we don't make mistakes. And that's what we have done in on this winning streak. Is not make the mistakes. If you look at our turnover to turnover margin, we're plus probably about around 12 to 15. So that is something that we push for. To protect the football. And do what McDowell know we can do.
Absolutely. Coaches, y'all got any final questions or remarks?
I just like to ask one question. That be all right? Are we
Yes,
out of time?
sir.
Yeah, you can ask.
Okay. Coach, I heard you talking about your coaching staff, and I know how important feeder programs are. And I wanted to know, I don't know if you had an opportunity to meet a fellow by the name of Michael Caparoso.
Yes, I have.
Well,
And be honest with you, I tried to get Coach Cap up with me when I first got here because I heard great things about him. And I understand he got a lot to do down at the middle school level. And he got young kids that he really can't get away from. So I tried to get him. He's on my huddle, so he start reaching out to me and telling me things that he see. So you got guys around that you always want to keep in touch, like Coach Gowan, longtime coach here. He's on my
Carson
sideline every Friday
Dow,
night.
I'm going to ask
Yeah,
you.
yeah. So he's on my sideline. He come to our Sunday meetings, and everybody want to help, and I love that. And I'm a type of coach. I don't think I know everything, and I'm not gonna tell you that I know the run game to the fullest, and I know whatever. I I know my strength and I know my weaknesses, and I'm a push guys around me that can help me with all of that. So if a coach tell you that they know everything, they're not. That's not true. I mean, because you don't know everything. So you got to get guys around you that you can trust and that you can really listen to and make it better for your kids and your team.
I got another guy I want to ask if you've met yet. Have you met Coy Gibson?
yeah.
I have not met Mr. Gibson yet. I
Well,
heard him.
Carson Gowan knows him, and
Yes.
Carson played for him. And
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, you need to meet Coy Gibson because
Yes,
he
sir.
one of a kind. One of, and he is
Uh,
through and through McDowell. Both
yes,
of them.
sir.
Tell you that he played quarterback down here for us. He's a Morgan boy. but he's been fully interested up there at McDowell, and he was a special kid when he played, and he overcome a whole lot in his life, and I'm sure he's teaching those young McDowell Titans, a lot of good things about life. I was really did my heart good to hear you talk well about him, and
Yeah.
I've heard things about him. Only other
Yes,
thing,
sir.
hey, you hadn't happened to run into two twins by the name of Henry and Harry Gibson, have you?
I have not yet. No, sir.
Two players from played for Coach Johnny Anderson up there that came with me and Coach Harper to Catawba, and one played tight end, one played defensive tackle for us, and they good looking. They were from Old Fort, and
Yes, sir.
they haven't been around yet. I think they're both still up that way. I'll make sure make sure they get out to what you guys play with what you guys got going on there.
That'd be great.
So I appreciate
We
Absolutely.
wish you all the luck in the world. We hope to goodness that the success continues for you, because I can tell that you're into building young men, and that's the most important thing.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Absolutely, Coach. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to say is I am very glad to see how things have been going for you in the program, because to hear to hear the buzz going on for McDowell football, that's something that hasn't been heard in some time. So it's a good thing to hear that you got this buzz going around the program. That tells you right then and there that you're making an impact.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah, but the
And
pressure's on now, brother.
yeah,
Be careful what you wish for.
I know.
where do you
All
play
right.
Alexander at, Coach?
We got them at home, and then we finished up with Saint Stephen's at home, and then we finished the season with Watauga and then Freedom. So we just gonna try to take it one game at a time, and just soak up everything, and I know we probably going over, but my biggest thing, like you say, is really getting these kids to understand that they got to stay even, no matter how much success or how least success they're having, and I think if we do that, I think we'll be okay.
Amen.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, thank you, Coach, for taking the time to come out and talk to us this week. I know you anticipated to be on about 30 minutes sooner than tonight, but some things came up, and I appreciate you for being able to be a little bit lenient with us today.
Yes, sir. Hey, anything. I mean, I think I just happy that you guys kind of took me up under your wings and stuff like that, talking to me and things like that, and just putting our program out there. I mean, because like I say, we got a lot of things to push out, and we just want people to know about our kids.
Amen.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, once again, Coach, thank you, and you have a good night.
All right, y'all too. Thank you.
All right, coaches, we're going to go ahead and move on and talk about our weekly pick'em poll. We got a little spin for the weekly pick'em poll as we had a four-way tie. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen real quick here for a second.
This gets more and more exciting around here, doesn't it?
Well, it gets very exciting, especially when you ain't got no voice.
Oh, it's okay.
Give me a second to pull it up here in a second.
Sounds
There we go. So this week's winner poll consists of Chad Mullis, Bob Duckworth, Dwayne Bryant, and Danny Harbinson. And the winner this week is, got to wait for it, make sure it stops. Our winner this week is going to be Dwayne Bryant. Congratulations to Dwayne.
Way to go, Dwayne.
All
Sorry
right,
about
coaches.
that, Bob Duckworth. It's a conspiracy again.
I don't think it's a conspiracy, but I have joked around with Tom that we need to implement the Bob Duckworth rule because he used to win this all the time.
I'm gonna tell you right now, he's been in two of those spinners and he's lost twice. It is a conspiracy, is what Bob Duckworth would say.
Well, we're just going to need him to provide proof
It's
that it's
okay.
a conspiracy.
He'll be all right.
It's all right, Bob. You'll get him next time. All right, here are our scores from last week's action. Some of the notable scores from around the area had Freedom and Watauga. Watauga over Freedom 42-20. St. Stephen's over Alexander Central 21-0. McDowell over South Caldwell 60-42. Hickory over Maiden 38-21. Newton Conover over North Lincoln 42-22. Chase over High Brighton 62-32. Gonna look for some of Hunter Huss over Forest View, 32-29. Burns over Stuart Kramer, 35-21. Lincoln Charter over Langtree Academy, 43-42. And Ashe County over North Wilkes, 33-28. Just wanted to put up the notable scores because one thing I've noticed from week to week is that we got a lot less games on the slate that are closer. And I'm not sure if that's just, where, some teams have just had drop-offs or if it's just, like Max said a couple weeks ago, it's just been a weird year for high school football. But anyway, coaches, are there any games on this slate that stand out to you?
The one that I talked to Friday night, I called Mike and I said, "Did you see the score of the Crest South Point game?" I was shocked.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be much closer than that, and it wasn't. So it seems like, I don't know, maybe it's different when you watch it on film, but 42-7 is just not close at all in my book.
I was shocked by that and seeing what the South Point had done. And of course, I guess you never know on every Friday night, but it just goes in line with what's happened the whole year. We've had, I don't know if you look down that score list, I can't see it that well now, but it seems like every week there are very few games that are, within one score or even two scores. It just goes on and on. It's got to be, it can't be that, it's got to be something up because you shouldn't see scores week after week after week. And, the Watauga Freedom game, I think we all thought that would, Watauga certainly had a good chance to win that game. So we thought it would be very competitive. Freedom played really well. They'd have a chance. But, that score is 42-20. Probably wasn't really indicative of what the score really was. And truthfully, I think Watauga probably had a better night than even a 22-point win. But it's just, I just don't understand it.
Yeah. Speaking of another game, my hat's off to Coach Loman at St. Stephen's. He seems to be really doing, because, I know what Alexander Central has been in the past and will continue to be, and to hold them to 0 and beat them by 21 points says a lot about his program and what he's doing with that program.
I think it's interesting that you bring that up because this week, Freedom will hit the road to play at St. Stephen's, and they're catching St. Stephen's when they're playing some of their best ball. So Friday night,
I think
Freedom
that
and St. Stephen's.
But I think also Watauga might have put a little burr in the crawl of the Freedom Patriots. So it'll be interesting, that for sure.
Well, they'll either go one or two ways. Like you said, either they'll play like they're angry, or they'll let one Friday night beat them the next Friday night.
Right. That's right.
I think, but in any case, we'll have to see on that. But that Freedom Watauga game, that was that first quarter that Watauga put on was very impressive.
Well, first play was just almost to the house. And it was I was surprised, and I know Coach Mack was the same way. Very surprised at how fast Watauga was. Knew they were going to be tough, knew they were going to be physical, but they had some players on that team that were as fast as I've seen out of anybody this year. So I see why they're successful.
I do want to say this: the double reverse pass that Watauga had to go up 21-0. That was probably one of the prettiest trick plays I've ever seen.
Well, also, Josh, I'll talk about that play. And all their first three drives, they had a lot of plays. You got to remember that play was preceded by 2 shifts and 2 motions.
Right.
And it was run. I don't know if that was a hurry up. It might have been a change of possession. But they were what I found to be really impressive. And I've watched Watauga for the last 3 years, and they've done a lot of the shifting and motions. But I've never seen them operate like they did. I personally, I'm sure they probably have, but with the speed, they were playing that speed up game. But at the same time, they were putting all the motions and all the shifts, and they never lined up wrong, and they never had a procedure penalty. And their execution for those first 3 drives, particularly, was doggone near flawless, and that caught my eye. I think that's the best Watauga team that I have seen since I've been back, and they've had some really good teams. And I heard all off season, Watauga's lost a lot of kids, and they're losing the best player in the conference at the court. You just always think, but I'm going to tell you what, the quarterback play I saw Friday, and I don't mean nothing to put the other kid down from last year, but I don't know how you can play quarterback better than a kid at a high school level played it Friday.
You know, the funny thing about that is, Mac, is that drive, I took Coach Payne, the basketball coach, the daddy of the basketball coach, I drove him up to his car. And when he was talking to me in the car, he was talking to me about the quarterback, and he said, that's our best basketball player playing quarterback right now. So
last year, well, I think he was a baseball kid last year. He might have been, I think he was all three sports, but that kid, he threw the ball as well as KD threw it against Reynolds.
Exactly.
And making some throws on the field. His long ball accuracy was incredible Friday. And then he breaks about a 70-yard run. I thought, well, what else? There's not much left to be said. That kid, that quarterback was the best. And I was just impressed with their whole operation. And their kids up on both sides of the ball, particularly on the line, offense and defense. They look strong. You could tell they have been in the weight room.
Yes, sir.
That's what I felt like our kids looked at when we got our weight program at Freedom going. And you could tell that they've had their program in line for more seasons in Freedom. And that's really what it came down to. And their execution was just, that was really special. And then I'd like to comment, but I do think that it was good. I know it didn't, all the Freedom fans didn't, but, the outcome wasn't what we'd like. But I will say this, it was awfully good to see that kind of crowd at Freedom Stadium again. That looked like an East Burke crowd, home crowd, and
you took the words right out of my mouth.
People were coming into the game. I know Dylan Say came in. He's like, I couldn't get in. I had to go all the way around through the park, and he didn't get there until like 2 minutes to go to the first quarter. And I looked up there on the road you could still see a little bit of the reach, and it looked like people were backed up going into the second quarter. So that was good. So at least that's a good thing for high school football. But I'm just going here to tell you, these other folks in the conference, they got a lot of work to do to catch up with that Pioneer team. And that's as honest as I can say it, because and I think I don't know if the Freedom kids came out there and, I know it's been a long time since the Freedom kids have been involved in a game like that. And when they looked up in that crowd, that crowd at Reynolds was good, but it wasn't like that crowd. And it wasn't that kind of sound. And I don't know, sometimes I think, you can get a little rushed. And it just takes experience being in those games. I think McDowell's been there longer, and they've been in games. But there's a lot of factors. But that Pioneer team, I think I may be wrong, but I just think they're better than they were last year. What I saw. Now last year they were pretty good too. But
let's also say that Brian Hobbit, the head coach at Watauga, has been there for 10 plus years. I know, and has continued to run the same offense. He uses smoke and mirrors with the shifting and the motion and all, but there's only a couple, maybe 3 or 4 different running plays that he runs, and some different play action stuff or drop back or whatever. But he still is probably fairly simple, but just tries to screw with you mentally before the ball is snapped. And then he's done a great job and that community has done a great job of buying into him, and he buying into the weight room. And it showed. And the Freedom will get there. They're a year or two away, and they'll get there.
And I this is my message to Patriot Nation. I think Patriot Nation needs to continue to come out and support this team. If you ask me personally, this team that I've seen on Friday night against Watauga is a much better team than they were 2 or 3 years ago, and they're better than they were last year when JK first came into Freedom. Absolutely. And Coach Adkins is going to need a couple years to get Freedom football back to where it really needs to be to where they can be competitive year in and year out for that top spot in the conference. But until then, it's like it's an old man saying, you got to beat the man to be the man.
Well, it took us a while to get over crest when we were there. We were trying to get to the top of the conference, and I feel like somewhat of that situation. But I wanted to say this about the Freedom Kids. After those first three possessions, it was been if it had been a boxing match, the referee would have looked real close to stop the fight. But that doesn't happen in football. And the Freedom Kids actually got their footing underneath them and didn't give up and competed. And I think that speaks well for the kids out there and for the coaches, and because that game could have gotten in a running clock in the first half, and it didn't. And they went down and put a big score on the board, made it 21-7, and they fought. And I don't think they ever give up or they hung their heads or they stopped playing. It's just, I think on that night particularly, that team from Boone was just a step or two ahead.
I think what you're saying is correct. They never quit. Were they struggling at first half? Well, of course, they got hit in the mouth a couple of times, and they're going, what in the world's going on here? You know? But like a good coaching staff does, they got them back together, and they pulled each other together, and they kept fighting. And they'll live to see another day, and it'll be glorious. So,
they'd have to continue to improve to the end of the year because they still got a lot of things ahead of them.
Amen.
Night, all bounces a different way, but I'm gonna tell you, if Watauga executes like they executed those first three series, they'll be tough to beat by anybody. Now, you take a high school team and you burn that many shifts, changing your strengths that fast, and then motioning 2 or 3 times from it, and doing it at a breakneck pace. I mean, they're as fast as the fastest college teams I've seen. I mean, they're right on the ball, and they're doing all this. And I thought, boys, that's a lot of issues in high school football.
They didn't even have to think when they were doing all that shifting and trade and and motion and everything. They knew in the back of their hand what they were doing, and that's the sign of a well-developed program.
And you take high school kids on defense and you make them move their alignment as much and then redirect for emotion. And it's hard to be aggressive if you're worried about trying to get lined up. So I think, somebody's got to study hard, figure out the best way to defend that team. But, I don't want to get into talking X's and O's, but running around with them is not a good solution if they're going to do it that crisp and that fast. and they don't draw penalties on themselves, so
no, sir, they don't hurt themselves. Very
impressed with what they're doing. And like I said, I'm more impressed from Friday night than I have been the last 3 years I've seen them. I've always been impressed with what they did, but Friday night was that was something extra, I believe.
Yeah. So another game that we had in the area that was one of the ones to watch, in my opinion, was Hickory and Maiden. And the interesting fact about this game is that Maiden was up 21-7 on this Hickory team. And then it was all Hickory from there. So, I think Friday night taught us a lot about this Hickory Red Tornadoes team. They faced a lot of adversity very early, going down 2 scores against Maiden. And they showed that they could rebound in any big way.
Well, that's why you got to play 4 quarters. It doesn't matter whether you're up 1 or 27 or whatever. It sounds like Hickory just kept doing their thing and ended up having more points at the end than Maiden did. So,
do you happen to remember? I remember you telling me at one time it was 21-7. Was that the score at half?
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're saying is that Hickory scored what?
31 unanswered points.
31 answered points in the second half, correctly?
Yeah. Sounds like they made some really good adjustments.
I think they just woke up. Because, Josh, we talked about before the game, you asked me, and I told you Hickory was going to win by how much?
You said it was going to be a big margin.
I thought it was going to be way when you were telling me that score, I said, well, I would have been wrong about that. But for 30 consecutive points against the team in the second half, I just think Hickory, I don't know what happened. It's high school football, but that tells you that Hickory is the superior team. You can't outscore a team by 30 and not have an advantage. And so that ended up being pretty much what I thought. But boy, get down 21-7 in a rival game like that, and then I don't know what happened at halftime, and I imagine Coach Glass got it straightened out.
Sure sounds like he did.
Absolutely. I mean, I think if anything right there, it just shows, championship programs find a way to win those games. Against all adversity, they will find ways to win those games. And I think Hickory has still made the proclamation that we're still here. And, they're still going to be a force to be reckoned with this year throughout the rest of the season, and potentially going to make another deep playoff run.
Hickory's a very talented team. I say they're very talented. They may not have the same kids they had last year, but there's plenty of talent on that football team to make a lot of noise.
Yes. Here's the schedule for the upcoming week. For the Western Foothills Conference 4A, 5A, Maiden does not play this week, and I think it's Bandy's and North Lincoln that plays. We had that one kind of flipped with next week instead of this week. So that one is going to be North Lincoln and Bandy's. But some games that you got going on in the area, coaches, do y'all see?
I can't see it.
Do y'all see any potential games on this list that stand out to you?
Well, we spoke about it early. I do think it'll be interesting to see that St. Stephen's team. I watched them in the preseason, and I thought they had to be improved. And with Freedom coming off what happened Friday night, it'll be interesting to see how that game goes. That's one I'll be looking for early to see how that's coming out early, what the returns are early. So to see which Freedom team is going to show up, the one that that Tom says got a spur, or the one that's still hanging their head about Friday night.
Anytime you play Maiden at Bandy's, it's going to be an exciting game.
That's not this week, Coach. That's going to be next week. It's actually North Lincoln.
Well, I'm so excited about it. I'm talking about this week.
Yeah. Okay.
It's still going to be exciting. I don't care when they play.
It's gonna that entire conference, the Western Foothills Conference, week in and week out, has produced some really good games, and I think this week you could potentially see a really good game between Bunker Hill and Newton Conover and North Lincoln and Bandy's this week. In the Northwestern Conference, obviously we talked about it earlier. Coach Clark, Alexander Central going to McDowell, and Alexander Central enters this game 1-5. But that does not mean that the Titans should overlook this Alexander Central team. This Alexander Central team is one of the best 1-5 teams I've seen, and they've lost games this year in ways I could not imagine. For example, the South Iredale game, they were up 41-19 in the fourth quarter, and they lost that game.
In the fourth quarter?
In the fourth quarter.
How does that happen?
I have no idea, but it was a big lead, and they let it slip away to South Iredale. And, Alexander Central, week in, week out, has been competitive in these games, and they are far better than that 1-5 record shows.
Well, that's going to be interesting because you got a upstart team that's, I bet it's been a while since they've had a game of this caliber up at McDowell too now. And that's liable to be, they got a good sized stadium. I'd love to I wonder how many people they'll get out Friday night, because it's probably been a while since they've had a game of this. That means this much.
I can tell you about Alexander Central and the fact that those people that pull for Alexander Central, they will travel. And they'll be up there regardless of the record. They'll be there pulling for the Cougars. So you're right, Mac. That will be an exciting game because McDowell it's been a while since they've seen 5-1. And, listening to Coach Clark he's excited. He's doing all the right things. Plus, I don't know if you heard or not, but he's got Freedom and Watauga at the end of the season, so he needs to. He's still preparing for the big part of his season.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this will be a test for him. I mean, it'll be a different kind of game than they've been in, and even though they're 1-5, but I can remember going up to McDowell when Coach Anderson was there recruiting back when I was at Catawba, and he had some good teams and some playoff teams. I'm telling you, it's been so long for McDowell, but I can remember when that stadium would get loud and there was big crowds. That's a big stadium, and they haven't come close to putting the people in there lately. But now that they've got a lot of excitement, and that could be a loud game Friday night.
Even
Absolutely.
when we were at Freedom, and we were battling Coy Gibson.
Yeah, they would still have good.
And there was some big crowds then too. So they got they're hungry and they're excited about their football right now.
And needed to grow and because I tell you it's good for this conference and it's good for high school football.
Amen.
For Marion and McDowell to have a good football team.
Well, I'll tell you one thing: a game that should be talked about and is probably being highly talked about down in Lincoln County and down in Cleveland County. The Shelby Golden Lions visiting the Lincolnton Wolves this week.
Yes, Lincoln is looking better and better every week. What a great measuring stick. You can't get much better than Shelby.
No, and I think the quarterback is kind of after that kind of a rough start is starting to play better and at Shelby and I think they've straightened back out. And I know Lincolnton's had a good year, and I've seen them up here when they scrimmage Freedom. That'll be very interesting. Where is that game at?
At Lincolnton.
Good. That's good.
It would be rocking because that place loves their football. We've talked about it before here. They've got great history, tradition when it comes to football. A lot of state championships, and they will be out in full force, getting ready to cheer for their Lincolnton team. So it'll be interesting.
I wonder if they've got a Little John on that team. When he's up here because they've had some wonderful Little Johns play football down there.
Yes, sir, they have.
That's Shelby. There'll be a lot of great athletes and a lot of good football players on that field. A lot of tradition on that game.
Now we got a mountain rivalry game coming up this week as well. The Asheville will be visiting AC Reynolds this week.
I know that's a rivalry game, but tell me what's Asheville's record?
I am unsure, to be honest with you.
Because I'm not sure. I mean, I can remember when Danny Irwin, I think was his name. A lot of good tradition at Asheville as well, but I'm just not sure how much it has continued here as of late. I do know that Shane Laws, being the head coach at AC Reynolds, always has his team prepared and has always been physical. It will be interesting just because it's Asheville versus AC Reynolds.
Did Reynolds play Friday night?
Sorry, what?
Did Reynolds play Friday night?
Yeah. AC Reynolds beat Irwin 14-10.
Well, that's good that because they had a tough nap down here at Freedom. Very tough.
They rebounded, didn't they?
So they rebounded with a win. So that's good. I don't know much. I know I've seen some a few other scores come in, and but yeah, that's normally a pretty good rivalry there. But I wonder who does Roberson play? When does Reynolds and Roberson play? Do we know?
I think they've already played. I'll take a look real quick.
Oh, okay.
Just give me a second to look it up.
Since you asked that question, Mac, you got to sing us a song while he looks.
Yeah. Well, Robert, by the way, you asked what Asheville's record was. They are 2-4. And Asheville opened up the season with a big win against East Rutherford.
Huh. Well, that tells you what they can do. Yes, sir.
Had an injury or something.
You got an injury?
Who are their other games, Josh? Do you know?
They played TC Roberson. They lost to TC Roberson. They lost to Watauga. And I don't remember the other two because I just looked up AC Reynolds. So AC Reynolds will be playing TC Roberson on Halloween.
Okay, that's at the end of the year, so kind of be looking for that game. But anyway, yeah, at Asheville, I don't know how that game will be. I know that anytime Asheville plays any of those county schools there, it's always a big game.
Rivalry games are always competitive, regardless of the talent disparity, because there's always that emotion that goes into it.
They can be. Yeah.
All right, coaches. Well, that's pretty much all I got for y'all this week. Just wanted to talk about some of the games this week and talk about the games from last week. Coaches, as always, we appreciate you for everything y'all do.
Oh,
And
it's so
thanks
hard. I'm telling you. I don't know. We're tired of carrying you, Josh Dula.
Well, you know what?
Tom,
You know what? I've told
You know what? I'll take that because
no,
be tired of having to carry me.
I say that in jest. I speak for Coach Mack when I say we're glad to be here with you.
Hey,
well, that's good to hear, Coach.
Hey, Tom, real quick, where are you going next Friday?
I'm thinking about going to watch that Freedom St. Stephen's game.
Probably pretty good. I'm going to go down to South Carolina and watch Gaffney and Burns play.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be packed.
It will be. Burns got a really good football team. She's got a great running back, but that's a big game in that conference. And I talked to Matt today, and he says they're going to have to play well. So that means it's probably going to be a really good contest. So I'm going to go down to South Carolina next week and see Matthew and Gaffney.
I'll call you. You call me if something changes.
Appreciate it, Josh.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for watching this week, and we will catch y'all all next week. Thank you, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.